All right, welcome back everybody to the post-FrightFest SWAMPCast. And we're here with a lot of the directors of some of the short films. Some couldn't make it, but we're going to make up for that because everybody here is very creative. We're going to go from my left to my right, and you're going to say your name and what you directed, and we're going to start off with that.
All right, my name is Blake Woodard, and I directed Wine and Dine.
I'm Beau Hardeman. I directed Induction. Three of my other directors could not be here, though, so I'm going to be speaking on behalf of them.
My name is Tim Morrow. I co-directed Voyeur.
And I'm Michael Morris. I also co-directed Voyeur.
My name is Powell. I did a peculiar maintenance request.
And my name is Brek, and I directed Alienated.
So all of these short films were a very wide variety of horror, I guess you could say, from comedic to experimental, and they all did very well. I'm gonna say that Brek's Alienated got a perfect 20 points out of 20 points that you could have scored from the two judges. So we're gonna start with you, Brek. So what was your inspiration for it? It was a definitely unique short film.
Thank you. But yeah, definitely when going into the short film, in previous films that I have directed or helped produce, the technology wasn't exactly there, especially in regards to the lighting side. And over the summer, me, along with Ion and Winston, another friend, has acquired a lot of equipment, and we're finally going to put a bunch of that equipment to use. And Alienated, I think, especially with the colored LEDs, help in terms of my style and what I want to achieve on film.
Yeah,
and that was kind of like a test to see, like, has my style improved over the last films that I have directed.
Yeah, definitely you do have a specific style with the colors and stuff, and it's very, very visually pleasing, and I can't wait to see more.
Brek, did you get to use the new wide lens for Alienated, or is that not?
That wide lens was purchased, I would say, a week after I finished filming.
Okay.
I don't think we used a wide lens at all during filming. Actually, we used a zoom, which is, I want to say, 24 to 50 millimeter, and we used a macro to 50 millimeter for some of the closer up shots.
Cool.
All right. And Ion, yours definitely was a trip, I'm gonna say, visually and very auditory. What was your thought process behind your experiment, I guess you could say?
Well, it's really like anything else I make. It comes in the moment, and I don't really think about it too much. It was never meant to be for FrightFest, and then I realized, this is actually kind of... I don't want to spoil a peculiar maintenance request, but my apartment has been slacking heavily on fixing my washing machine and now fixing my door, and they took forever to fix the hole in the wall, and I just kind of channeled all that frustration into this video, and I did it. Basically, I have a lot of experience doing music production at this point, about a year now. I wouldn't say it's a lot, but I am less on the... I like doing shots and I like composing shots, but I think my strength is more in audio production. So being able to put that out there and just kind of do weird experimental things. And then I made one animation, and just the entire video is one animation, just in like different ways and different kaleidoscopes. And that I just kind of went through and did different things. It's all experimental. It's just me figuring out what I can do. I didn't think about it too much.
It definitely did score very well for being an experimental. I mean, it scored 15 points total. I think it had very good remarks from both judges, noticing that it is experimental, but also the auditory was very... it was very in the forefront, and you could really get a good story with very limited visual reference to what was going on.
Yes, I took inspiration from the Minute Hour, and I recently realized I saw something someone made on Reddit. I realized, that looks like someone from a Minute Hour video, like an animation, and I sent him that, and he mentioned, this looks a lot like China, Illinois. Has anyone here seen China, Illinois?
I think on Adult Swim.
He did Adult Swim, but he also did some old internet videos, and they're mainly told with audio. Now for China, Illinois, he would put some animations to them, but the whole thing was it's an audio experience, and I think the Minute Hour took a lot of inspiration from that, because the Minute Hour is mainly just it's like a podcast format. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing a lot of videos like that. Not videos, but just you hear it. You don't...
Like audio stories.
Yeah, audio stories, yeah.
Like radio plays or something.
Yeah, like radio plays, but, producing them heavily so they sound really weird.
Definitely your voice acting, was pretty pleasing, because you could definitely tell which character was who. It didn't sound like it was the same voice over and over again, but it was definitely very, very good.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be able to do a lot of different voices, because then I can do different characters. And it all started when this is spoiling nothing because it's the first line, but I looked at my washing machine and I saw there was water on the floor, and I wasn't thinking, I just went, "It ain't fixed yet! It's still broke!" That's it. And I went, that's pretty funny. And I went and recorded it, and the way I do it, I had no clue where I was going from there. I just started with that, and then I said, okay, what's the logical reaction from this character he's talking to? And I just went back and forth. And I didn't come up with the whole section with the guy who owns the complex till halfway through doing the first part, so, yeah.
Out of curiosity, how long would you say it took for you to completely figure out the whole narrative?
A couple hours. But that's because I was working as I was doing it.
Yeah,
it was all together. I think it took me 3 hours in total. I think it took me 2 or 3 hours to produce it, and then it took another hour or two to do the video.
Awesome. So, Michael and Tim, y'all did Voyeur, scored 16.5 points, and it came in second place. So it's very mysterious short film, to say the least. So, where did y'all come up with the inspiration for it? Where did y'all start with the idea for Voyeur?
So with that one, I was kind of just sitting inside of Tim's room, and the way his hallway and doorway, it just looks out. One of his roommates walked out of the door of the adjacent door, and he had his dishes inside of his hands, and he just walked down, and then he didn't notice me staring at him the entire time, and I was like, huh.
Very creepy life experience.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that's just crazy that he just did not see me that entirely. It was like a 2-minute stretch of me just looking at him. I was like, damn, how the hell did he not notice me? And then I wanted to write something off of that. And then one day whenever we were drunk,
it's a very good start.
We were trying to figure out something to help us practice editing, to get kind of decent at it, and we went back to his idea about it. As we were still continuing to drink, so the drunker we got, we plotted out our whole storyboard. I got out index cards and we pinned it up on the wall to set up how we wanted to cut everything. That was pretty much it for that bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it kind of just flew from there. And we met Beau, or I met Beau at Target, and then he was talking about the FrightFest thing, and we kind of had this kind of planned out, that we were going to do it eventually, and so we just kind of ramped up production.
Yeah.
And did it.
We were planning on doing it maybe a month or two from now, and we ended up doing it the next week. So.
But you got it done.
We got it done. Yeah.
Things like that, you have a little experience where it's just you're staring at your friend's roommate, and you have that weird experience, and then it sparks an idea, and then it's you score second place, and that was y'all's first short film?
Yeah. That was the first thing we fully made, I guess. We've done a couple of things just messing around here and there. But
I've done a couple other small projects with a former roommate of mine too. But nothing to this scale or anything like that. Just mostly small skits and stuff. And
yeah, but it shows y'all have potential, and you could do a lot more than just, if you have the right idea, you can just get it knocked out and get it made, and it's definitely a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what else y'all create if y'all come back and do it in the spring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was fun making it too.
No, it was
a blast, actually.
It was incredibly fun and incredibly stressful at the same time. But I think it was a good balance of the two, for sure.
Okay, yeah. And Beau, you're speaking for how many people?
For 3 other directors. I also want to say, too, that I totally forgot to mention, too, and I said what films I directed. I also directed Meal as well.
Yes.
I forgot about Meal. Meal was very short. I'm not as proud as Meal as I am of Induction,
But it still
It was
did.
great.
It still did
That was
well.
fun.
Induction scored third, tied with a peculiar maintenance request, and then Meal came in at an honorable mention. So Induction scored 15 points. Meal scored 13.5. But like still, even for Meal being a very quick short film, from your idea to making it, it's still. Like,
I
did
recorded that in
very
a day. That
Yeah.
entire film was just made in a day.
So, like, what was your inspiration for Induction, and then what was your inspiration for Meal as well? Because since that was like right in the spur of the moment.
So it's pretty funny because both ideas came from dreams. So Induction first started off with 7 people in the writer's room. So we're 7 people, and we're shooting ideas back and forth, whatever, and all stuff. And one of the guys there, his name is Nate Dietz, one of the main directors, he told us, like, I don't have an idea, but I have this, like, cool dream I had. And his dream was that he was camping, and he walked out his tent, and there was a huge crowd of people just, like, outside the tent, just, like, staring back at him. And we're like, oh my god, that's the thing. Like, we were just obsessed with that idea in the writer's pitch. So we all voted. We all knew what was going to win. It was definitely that. But slowly and surely, as the meetings kind of went on, it went from 7 people to 6 people to 5, and then eventually to 4 directors, 3 of which who could not make it. But yeah, no, just based off that one dream, we kept meeting places, whatever. I was I guess I can say I was like one of the main producers behind it because I had to keep a schedule and keep people rounded up. It was my first time filming an actual short film. I've done skits in the past too. Very 2-minute, like I would just spur of the moment, whatever. Just like how a meal was. Basically, a meal was like back to my roots essentially because that's kind of like what I'm used to. But Induction was different because I had a lot more actors. I had a lot more like time and preparation and camera work and microphones and just so much different stuff. So totally different experience. But yeah, no, it was really great doing both of them. Meal also was a dream that I had. I woke up having a dream about a dude eating a dead animal on the street, and I was like,
very interesting dreams. I want to know more about your dreams.
Yeah, no, my dreams are crazy. No, but like, yeah, no, I was just like, that was so random, and I was like, wait, that could be like a short film. So then I just recorded that like really fast, and I was like, why not submit to FrightFest? Just because, why not? Like, be fun. But yeah, no, both were definitely fun. Induction took 4 days to record. Fun fact about that: most of the recording was done on Sunday of the 4 days. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But most recording took place on Sunday, and we got there at 4 p.m. and we were up till 6 a.m. the next morning. So we were up for a very, very long, over 12 hours, just straight recording. Almost lost my mind a couple of times, because people like were out there like blasting music. Cause we were in a park or like a lake area thing, whatever, and people were just like blasting music and like.
Which lake?
Lake Bryan.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's public parks. You can't really tell people like quiet down, whatever. You can ask them to, but you can't really tell them to because it's like a public park. People are allowed to do what they want. So I was like just waiting for there to be silence so we can take the perfect shot, whatever, and all that stuff. And then like the boat would drive by playing like Lady Gaga or something, like just driving by, and I'm like, like they ruined the shot, whatever. And then it was finally everyone moved out when it became nighttime. We were all doing good, and then around midnight, these people snuck onto the property. And the reason why we knew they snuck there is because I already talked to the previous people who already like rented out that small property for them and their family. So these other people just snuck on the property, and they gave their kid an electric fly swatter and was fly swatting. In shots we hear, and like it would just ruin the audio. So we'd have to wait for them to stop doing that, whatever, and then start it from there again. But it's still a good experience though. I definitely like got me into filmmaking. Fun. Also, we filmed it all on iPhones too. We didn't use actual cameras. I guess the iPhone is an actual camera, but that's kind of what I'm used to. I'm not. This is my first time doing that, so that's how kind of we did it. And that's the same thing for Meal too. Meal was all on iPhones as well, and I edited Meal fully by myself. That whole thing was basically all done by me except the camera work. And then Induction was edited by me and our editor Adam, and then also Nate, who I previously mentioned before.
But very good, very very interesting short films, and definitely you have ideas for the future, of course.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
But for Insomnia, you already got something in mind.
Yes, I do. Definitely in the works. It was hinted at FrightFest. The Man Bat is definitely in work. We have our first meeting Sunday, and that is a superhero parody. So keep on a lookout for that.
Interesting to say the
Future,
least.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
And finally, Blake. So you did Wine and Dine. So it was y'all's first short film ever.
I mean, I've made like kind of what he said skits. And I guess I guess to explain my filmography. But I didn't have a lot of people that I knew.
You submitted it, and it did get an honorable mention with 13.5 points. So it definitely did well. So like, where did you get the inspiration from that? Like,
I don't know. So I'm probably a better writer than I am like director. I think I just kind of write better than I compose shots. So I kind of just come up with ideas on the spot and some things that are interesting. So usually I just kind of start beginning. I think like when I write what I'm inspired by, and inspired a lot by this Richard Linklater film from 1991 called Slacker, which is just like a bunch of conversations about nothing. And then it was like, oh, it's FrightFest. I'll just add vampires to it. Why the hell not? And that part kind of what came about out of an attractiveness to films like Psycho and From Dusk Till Dawn and Death Proof, like gear shift films, like that subgenre where it's like, oh, we follow this protagonist or this kind of genre, and then halfway point it becomes something else. But yeah, I just kind of wrote something. Knew some people. We're like, okay. Basically got the cast together like a day before the shoot. Had to get on my hands and knees just to find anybody. But yeah, I had fun doing it. It was all shot in like one night because I'm an engineering major and don't have a lot of free time.
Oh yeah.
A lot of these people know the pain.
Yeah, so and it was like right before my midterms too. Like it was basically I shot it and then I had to after that do study. But yeah, just inspired by not zombies, vampires and shit.
Vampires, but definitely did a good job. It was a fun one. It was lighthearted, but still had the Halloween spirit to it.
Yeah, it's more like a Monsters episode than a horror film,
but still had that little twist at the end, and it's just definitely like a what the heck is going on, but it's still very lighthearted and fun.
They had one of the most memorable quotes for me, David. to eat.
I'm starving.
Really? I'm starving? What was it?
I think it was David. I need to eat, and like each word just cuts like it's shade digital zoom.
Ben did a great job. Like the dry delivery, it was very comedic.
With that I didn't cast or do auditions for the casting. I just kind of found who I could. Mostly out of necessity a little bit. But with that, I didn't really give traditional direction. It was kind of just trying to find some camaraderie between people that just met each other, and trying to get them to find each other's sensibilities in a way. And so, because especially with non-actors, if you can fall into the trap of over-directing them, and what you find isn't authentic. So I wrote a script. I think I don't want to say the script was the best part. I haven't even read what the critiques have been, but I think I was kind of I filmed it, I was like, shit. I got in there and I was like, damn, this isn't what I wanted, but, which I feel like everyone's probably felt here before, but,
you gotta start somewhere, so you just build from there.
Well, I mean, this is probably the first completed project I've made that's not, entirely me, because I didn't have, a lot of people that were interested to collaborate, so it's like, well, split screen, just do that kind of stuff, but, Yeah.
You had a lot of fun doing it though.
Yeah, I mean, well, my camera died and another battery brick, so I had to just wait. But that ended up actually kind
Black
of
magic
helping.
moment.
Yeah, because but that ended up kind of helping just have conversations with the actors. So a lot of the directing wasn't like, oh, I'm composing this shot. It was more like talking with people, and that actually lends up to a really fun shot, which was the opening, which is just like I call it the Annie Hall ripoff, except we didn't do it as well as Annie Hall did. Because my camera was almost dead, and we had to shoot away from like the dorm, and I didn't have a spare battery, and so we just basically had to walk through the scene. And what you see in like the finished product is just the first take, because it was better than the second take. But yeah, and Max is. I should also mention, I think when it comes to process, I'm somewhere in between like Brek and Ion, where Brek's very meticulous, and Ion just in the spur of the moment, and I'm just kind of like, I have a script. To hell with it, because Max, my roommate who plays the German in the film, which I think is probably my favorite like performance and has the best line, even though I didn't write it. He just came to set carrying like lighting equipment, dressed in like lederhosen.
He just had that laying around.
Like that?
Well, no, he goes to class in pajamas.
Do you know why he has it?
Pajamas.
No. So he's been in Germany before, and so he just picked that up when he was there, and he just had it. And we just came to set like that, and then that led to a reshoot where he's on the phone, because initially he's just dressed up as like a dude frat bro kind of guy and saying dialogue that we have. The whole German dialogue makes no sense to anyone. Well, it makes no sense to German, but
He should add subtitles.
I thought about doing that.
He should.
But if you do genuine subtitles, it makes like no sense. He's basically saying we need to get like the birds and the like ambulance or something.
That's good.
But like the English, the stuff in English is an inside joke, because there's this guy who has a SoundCloud that went to our high school, and I won't say his name, but we have a video of him saying, "Bro, you live in a monster truck with a truck bed full of monster. That is so lit." And then and that just became like an inside joke between us, and so we just like filmed that, and I was like, can you just do this in a German accent?
It was still funny, like even not knowing the joke, it's just like, what in the heck?
The sad part is like I didn't even write that. It's like the best line of the movie. It's time just say some shit and just yeah.
It was definitely very good. And then finally, I'm gonna mention it. Forever Made.
Yes!
See, as you can see, there is a cult following to Forever. Have y'all seen Oh yeah, y'all were there.
It was fucking beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's a cult following.
Picture.
It's a shame he didn't win.
It is.
Win the gold.
It was one of the first. It was actually the first one that I watched, because everybody sent the submissions to me, and the email was very particular, and it said like I just made this afternoon, and like I had a panic attack making it, and I was like, okay, let's watch it, and I watched it, and to say the least, it's an experience. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, everybody else has their opinion. Beau, what's your opinion on it?
Well, okay, for me, like, yeah, it was funny. Like, the ending, yes, is amazing. But I wanted to say where credit is due. The beginning, I thought the beginning of Forever Made was beautiful. Like, the fact that it was all made in Blender, I truly felt like a degree of just like, not, I guess, like terror, like whatever, with the screaming and the randomness and this, like the overall vibe and the flashes of the moon, like that was really, really awesome to me. Like I really appreciate that. And then for all this awesomeness, you try to like make me like 5 seconds. It's more like
You have to bleep that out, man.
Yeah.
Please bleep it out.
I will.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
because we have people in here
I'll
trying to
say-
spoil.
The tonal whiplash was amazing.
It's incredible.
It did
That's a better way of saying
it. It was the best
yeah.
gear shift film I've ever seen.
Because you start watching it and you're like, dang, this is gonna be a good horror film, and then it's like a whole 180, and you're like, what the fuck?
See, I was disappointed at first because Brek and I hyped it up so much the night before, and I was like, okay, it's like good, and then it like the shift happens, and I was like, okay, I'm on board. I'm on board.
The judges were definitely confused to say the least. I don't think they understood the humor. Both of them.
It's very Zoomer.
It's very Zoomer humor. Both of them did not understand the undertone of the ending.
It's really a critique.
And I hope that once people are listening to this Swampcast, and they can go and look on the Swamp YouTube and go find Forever Main and watch
We'll put
it.
a link in the description.
That would be.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so like for the director that couldn't be here to explain it, like we are hyping up this short film to say the least.
Genuinely, probably the most unique Swamp project ever made.
It's very
Ever
unique.
made.
That's good.
Oh gosh.
He has a fan club now. I want to meet him.
I'm
really
scared
want to meet him.
because
This
I'm
man
kind
is a
of-
phantom.
I'm fascinated
I've
by
never
the
met him.
alert. I'm
Y'all have
fascinated
never
by
met him?
No.
No one knows him.
Has anyone here met him?
I've spoken to him.
In person?
No, through text.
So he's not a phantom. Oh, he is a phantom. You just spoke to him on text.
See, I'm scared to meet
I
him.
follow him on
Like, there's such an
Instagram.
alert.
His animations are amazing.
Starstruck.
He's
Like,
like
he's
a
great.
faceless entity.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But
But
is it even better?
yeah.
Watch.
feel like I'm worshiping
You have to
God at
watch.
this point.
You have to watch Forever Man on TV. You can't experience
Oh,
it
yeah.
on your telephone.
It's
Rent out a
just-
telephone, bro. Like,
Get real.
it definitely challenges your mind to think of like who thinks of that. But like in other words, it like challenges
It
Blake.
challenges tropes.
Did you have any Blake, did you have any challenges filming yours besides the battery dying or anything like that?
Well, I originally cast someone to play the role of Michael, and then he got sick, and so that's where Ben came in. So thank you, Ben.
Ben did a great job.
Yeah. And then my dorm is very loud, so part of it just kind of came out as like it's a better idea because you get like I guess better scenery, but we had to shoot it like outside, just because I've been up till like 4 a.m. because my neighbors are loud and
College students in the dorm, just typical.
It's like they're playing basketball above me. It's like 360 degrees.
They're having a whole party of like 300 people in the room above
See,
you.
Actually, you asked about my inspiration. I wrote an original draft, which was basically an adaptation of the Telltale Heart, but it was it was based on my experience. So it was just like my.
Oh, yeah.
It was it was just like dorm room like insanity. Just kind of that was the motivation for writing it, and then I don't know. I got bored writing that and started writing Line and Dine.
And the best stuff comes when you're just bored as shit sitting in your room.
I find the best stuff comes when you're in the shower. Dude, I thought of like
Crazy.
so much things in induction, like in the shower, just shout out to Dr. Squatch. I don't know why that stuff like when I'm rubbing that on my body,
Is this sponsored?
It's
it
the natural soap. Like
it just
fuels
like
the mind.
yeah, like it just I don't know, man. It's something about like that smell. Like personally, I use black tar.
This is sponsored.
He's plugging his sponsor. We
Plugging
can't
my
have this.
sponsor.
Bleep it all out. Bleep it all
Someone's trying to
out.
sell me something.
no, but like I don't know. But anyway, like I thought of so many like the characters' names, like some of the motives. Like the only thing I can safely say that I didn't come up with like just like in the shower was the couple characters in their arc.
Mm-hmm.
That actually came up with the whole group. We all decided that together. We had no idea where we were gonna take that for the longest time.
Yeah.
But the rest of it though, like I said, I was just taking a shower and I was just like, like this plugs in this way and this that way and whatever and
I do the
all
same
different
thing.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but that's like the biggest place for me.
But was there any challenges you faced while filming?
Well, definitely
Induction at
like
Neil,
like,
or-
like the boats driving by playing Lady Gaga and stuff and like the electric
That's not a
fly
bad problem
swatter.
to have.
Well, yeah, when you're trying to record it is. No, there was actually a fun thing was that there was cats everywhere on the induction set. Yeah.
So you didn't have to go get a. Never mind.
Oh.
Oh, that's a spoiler too. That's a spoiler
well,
too.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
With meal, it's the same prop. Did you just like think of the?
Oh yeah. No,
Oh, is
I
it the
literally,
same prop?
I literally
Oh, that's
went
fun.
back to. I'll just say like I got the prop at PetSmart, and I was like, I need to get a different animal. You already said dead animal, so whatever. And I was like, I need to get a different one. Well, all the ones looked fake except for the raccoon. So I was like, I'll just buy the raccoon again and just.
Okay, so
you
do
bought
that.
2.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was literally the like same exact.
No,
one.
so what happened to that one was, so I mentioned the cats because
Oh,
for our first dead raccoon we used the fake blood I got at Target, and then we used turkey grounds. I just mixed it all up and it looked really, really good.
Shit's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked good.
Tasty.
Tasty.
Yeah. Well, so that's how I made that first one. But then for meal, I knew I was gonna have to eat it, and I'm like, I'm not eating ground turkey because I'm gonna die. So the way that one was made was I used oatmeal, bananas, corn syrup, Hershey syrup, and red and green food coloring. I still almost vomited eating it, but that's besides the point. But yeah, no, definitely there were different things to use the gore, but like they both had the effect. I felt pretty awesome.
But
I assume
it was pulled off well.
I assume you filmed you filmed the eating it last for a meal, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that makes
I got the
sense.
most dirtiest because
Right.
I was eating it more. Yeah, the final shot is involves that scene, whatever. Yeah, no, but yeah, no, I had a lot of fun making both of them though. Definitely were fun with like as many like hardships we had. I mean, with meal, the only hardship I had was like just cars driving by and people wanting to watch me eat the raccoon. They were just like one guy literally just stopped and just started watching us, and I was like, okay, I just did it anyway. But no, it definitely was fun. I definitely cannot wait to record my next project and next FrightFest and everything else.
It'll be fun. Tim, Michael, did y'all have any difficult challenges while filming?
So, Tim's roommate is a very loud individual. And editing his laugh out of the footage, because we didn't really have time to actually reshoot some of the stuff, and editing his laugh was mind-numbing. It took so long to get it to the right level to where you couldn't hear it for the most part, but the audio overall in it's kind of rough anyways.
Yeah.
It seems like we're following a trend of loud, obnoxious people nearby.
Like any student film is gonna have shit audio. I'm sorry. It's just it's the worst part of editing. It's oh my god.
Unless you're secluded in an area, then it's better. But then you gotta watch out for echoing when you're secluded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there was even when Addie dies in it, when I'm choking her, right as she takes her last breath, my roommates burst out laughing in the other room. And it was so loud that we had to cut the audio.
Oh, that's why the audio.
Yeah,
That is why the audio cuts.
Could you not redo it, or is it just a lot?
It was.
Did you have the audio fade out, or did it have a hard cut?
We had it fade out.
That's
Yeah,
good too.
yeah. We didn't really have time to reshoot it. We shot it all in 2 weeks. Shot and edited it.
You could have done a
in 2
little
weeks.
Foley in post.
You should have done a female scream and post that's that's what I've done for stuff. We need a stomach god, just make a noise in your mouth. So I should say an inspiration was Basket Case. All the audio just sounding like shit. That's a Basket Case influence.
So
And then we made a dolly for the first little zoom in
It's
shot.
a really cool dolly.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
It is.
Yeah.
That shot is amazing. That's my favorite shot when it's going through the door. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, that
Yeah.
one.
That's nice.
Me and Tim were this was months ago whenever we were trying to figure out how we would want to film it. We came up with the fact that we wanted a dolly for it, and I was like, I'll just make it because they cost too much money. And so we finally made it in the week that he went to vacation, so I made that with shout out to Aiden, one of my coworkers. He welded the steel triangles that we did to actually prop the wood up on the rails. But yeah, that was fun. That was nice.
So is it a metal dolly? Or is it
It's metal poles that we bought from Home Depot.
Okay.
It's the
Is it
the electrical conductive stuff. And then we just kind of roll it on it with a bunch of shopping cartwheels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the?
It's really creative. I like it.
That's well done. Using metal, it's not going to flex as much.
Yeah,
It's
kind of
PVC.
shows you
Yeah,
don't need
very
a lot of
nice.
money to get a lot of expensive equipment to pull off a good shot.
Yeah, because there's a David F. Sandberg.
Like how you're staring at me.
Because of the
Actually-
amount of money you
Okay.
stated
Oh.
at FrightFest that
I
y'all
want
succeeded.
to preface something here. A lot of that equipment wasn't used for Alienated. That was for different projects.
Even better.
I'd say the most expensive thing was the metal tripod, which was how much? That metal tripod from the 60s. I don't know.
60s?
No. That was only like $80.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cheap.
I thought it was
No.
way more expensive.
No,
than
the single most expensive piece of equipment is the Japanese television.
I didn't use that.
Fluid head. Oh, you mean for your project?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How much was that? And you said it's a fluid head?
So the fluid head, it came from a Japanese television set from what, the 80s?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. And it's incredible. It's like professional. It takes really heavy.
I think they hold up to 80 pounds, I want to say.
Ooh.
It's
Which
really nice.
our camera is, I think, 60 pounds. The total rig.
It's so smooth. We have shots like that in Panopticon that show off how smooth it is. That was $500, which for the quality that we're getting is incredible.
And it's a one of a kind.
Yeah, it's like
So-
to get something equivalent today, it'd be $6,000. So we got a
Man.
steal on that.
Craigslist?
eBay. Winston found it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Winston only knew it was valuable because he knows all this.
Winston
obscure
is
equipment.
our tech guy.
He
knows
would be
so much knowledge.
He would be a phenomenal prop master.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
for the
absolutely.
things
Uh-huh.
he knows, for the technical specs of just random things, he would be a phenomenal prop master.
It's really impressive.
Didn't
It shocks me.
Didn't he build his own like blank gun or something like that?
Oh,
Like,
we
little
bought
box like
that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
no, we purchased that, but he built his own grip for it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I helped him with that. It was very scuffed.
And he's currently designing 3D printed pieces to hook that tripod I was talking about, the Japanese tripod, into our dolly, because they're not they're not built to work together because it's older.
But
Yeah.
and then for peculiar maintenance requests, did you run into any technical challenges? Since it was a one-man show, so everybody had to show up every day. There was no shows or anything for you.
Yeah, so that was actually one of the smoothest projects I've ever done. It felt really good because I would almost every single line is first take. There is like I forget which line it was, but I did one line that was the second take. And every time I did like a little screw up or mess up, I said, okay, I'm not going to redo it. How do I make it work? Like, I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it. I don't care. If you haven't watched it at this point, you know what? You deserve it.
Yeah, stop the podcast right now.
Yeah,
watch
go
all our
watch it.
videos right now, and then come back.
We'll give you 5 seconds.
The scene where I want to say, yeah, he's the landlord or owner. When the landlord comes by, and he starts stumbling over his words. At least you don't live. You work. You work here. When he does that, that was me actually stumbling over my words. Like I only did one take, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna take this, offset it a little bit, pan it left, offset a little, pan right. So it's like coming from all around you. So I just kind of worked around the issues.
It's very surreal. Makes it very surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Because reality is not perfect, so you're not going to have a perfect line every time. So it's just with stumbles and stuff between the words, it's going to feel more real, like a real phone call.
Yeah, like the one, I have a pretty big stumble in my words for the country guy talking like this. He's my hair washing device. He really stumbled. Wait, I'm referring to that as someone else. That's weird. I really stumble there. I really stumble there when I do that. And I just kept it. I'm like, the rest of the take was really good. So I'm like, okay, I'm just leaving it.
There's also a rise in improvising talking, like
Yes.
like in like shows like Smiling Friends or Rick and Morty. Like
Yes.
those are like very popular and like
Rick and
a
Morty is
lot of-
what really started the popular trend for it.
Yeah, like we're just improvising, just talking, and Justin Lin has a natural stutter to his voice.
Like
so,
Joel Haver.
Yeah, and
Joel
he
Haver
just
is
do
a
it.
huge inspiration for me, and I could feel the inspiration for Joel Haver with The Landlord, especially. I feel like The Landlord was like my Joel. Like even the voice I'm doing for The Landlord, you can hear it's very similar to some of Joel Haver's voices. Because I'll go and imitate Joel Haver and like try to, get up with the popular voices,
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I'd say that's a crossover between Minute Hour and Joel Haver is my style at this point. Just weird psychedelic imagery and audio production. I'm trying to think. Okay, there was one. You know how there's like this kind of drum beat that keeps getting louder when the country guy's like saying, "You ain't gonna like what I'm gonna have to do." the first speech is going up saying how he needs blood.
Interesting.
But there's this drum beat that's dum, dum, you kind of hear it like going in the background. I was like, I need music here, but I don't want to put a lot of effort in making it, and I also want to sound aggressive and like, you know, foreboding. I thought, you know what? Ableton has this feature where you can make a drum beat by an algorithm. You don't actually have to write the drum beat. You just click it, tell it like what your probabilities, and it makes it. I took that now, and it just sounded like a normal drum beat, right? I went, okay. I recorded it and I pitched it down like 2 octaves, and so you get this really aggressive, foreboding sound. And I did barely any work for it. And that felt really good, not having to do as much work.
Yeah.
It was just one right after the other, just good thing happening. It just turned out. Turned out all right.
Yeah, it just comes through little bits of inspiration, like when the maintenance worker is like, "Sir, I can't do that," and then it like echoes like, whoa, like really deeply all the things he's saying. I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it and see what happens. Yeah.
It's very good. Brek, did you run into any challenges doing yours?
Yeah, so thing about my neighbor is that he's really loud. No, I'm kidding. But, I will say it is probably the smoothest production that I've ever been a part of. However, having the initial time slot set up for the actors and actresses to be a part of the film, that was the biggest issue because Preston Bounds, who is the protagonist of the film, he lives in San Marcos, so it's about a 2.5 hour drive. Every time he filmed, actually, he had to stay overnight at my place because we would stay up really late to film. And they were fun. We had a movie night like after we filmed and stuff, but it is very difficult to set that up, especially with school and everything going on. And then Taylor Morgan, who is playing the antagonist of the film, the alien, she is a successful actress as well, and she's actually, I believe she's cast in a reality show next semester. Yes. So she's
hosting it.
She's hosting it. Yeah,
that's even better.
Yeah. So very difficult to get successful, especially as a student filmmaker, getting actors and actresses who already have a lot going on planned out, but. We got it done. I think it's I've spoken to all the directors here. I think mine might have been the longest in terms of production. I think it took about a month.
Yeah, that's what you told me. Yeah,
a month, about 8 shoots total.
Okay, mine took 2 months because my apartment won't fix the stuff in my apartment.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was very good to get a very talented cast like Preston and Taylor and stuff like that, and you get them all into one place. But it's like we're also all students, so it's very difficult to get everybody at the same place at the same time and, you know, coordinate schedules, which is difficult to say the least.
But I will say there is for this film a lot of pieces fit together better than I initially anticipated. One of them was Joseph, who played the supervisor in the tunnel. He was initially not going to be a part of the film. I actually didn't know him until we started filming because he's Taylor's friend. And he just wanted to come on because he wanted to just like see how film production is, and he wants to direct a film. I want to say in December, January of this year, and he joined the set. And initially, it was gonna have somebody else play a supervisor, but I saw him, and he had this. I want to say it was a cosplay of a steampunk like doctor, and he showed it to me. He's like, "We got to use that. That's so cool." And so that's what you see, and I think that, especially in connection with the light, how I lit the shot I think it turned out really well.
That was really nice.
And it just things that just happen. You're just along the way, and it just like one after the other, and it just works.
Those are good snaps. Those are really impressive.
Yeah, yours are very crisp.
Yeah,
I've got very big fingers.
Can you do this?
No, I can't.
Can you snap with just your pinkies though?
There's a lot of
Can you
ADD
do it?
people in this room.
Can you go like this way?
Oh yeah.
The podcasters is gonna have zero context for it.
But yeah, back
Leave it to their
back to
imagination.
Brek.
Oh no, not the imagination.
But back to Brek, like, so what were you saying about the mask and everything?
Yeah, so like something like that is just something that just came together during set, which I think is, especially for student filmmakers, that's like the best part about filming is like getting like a whole team together and coming up with something, sometimes on the spot, and there's like so much passion behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Is there anything like you have it done and it's finished, it's been turned in? Is there anything you want to do, you would have done different if you had more time or money?
Definitely.
Or anything like that?
Well, of course, the audio was the biggest issue. Just didn't have enough time to smooth that out. But after getting some critiques from a lot of people, and also because I didn't have time, I do want to film maybe an extra scene or two to really build up some of the characters, which should have initially, but just because of time constraints, especially with Preston's schedule at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe doing that sometime in the next month or two. Who knows?
So overall, pretty satisfied with it.
I am. I would say so.
I mean, getting a 20 points out of 20 points is
That was
pretty damn
honestly
good.
surprising.
That shouldn't be surprising to you, but
The filmmaking is smooth. The
it's
actual
very
the
smooth,
vibe
very
of it is
confident,
very nice.
and very assured, and like
It
you
felt
know.
planned.
Oh, the planning was, yeah. That is one thing, like, I needed, in order to, because of how tight the schedule was for these actors, I had to, like, plan everything meticulously. Surprisingly, the shoots that went in the killer's apartment, which was one of our crew members' apartments. Her name is Laura, and she was the visual effects supervisor.
That was
for
her
this film.
apartment?
That was her apartment. And I wasn't able to go there before shooting, and that was everything in the killer's apartment was actually the very first shoot that we did. And I thought the room was going to be way bigger than it was.
It looked
so
good.
we improvised all of the lighting and everything. And when I went there initially, the initial plan was to have Alienated, at least in that section of Alienated, have a more realistic look to it. And when I saw the apartment and I saw the lighting wasn't working, I screw it, just add some reds. We're going to make this as stylistic as possible. And that's kind of what set up the rest of the shoots in terms of the lighting.
it definitely worked.
It was a good choice.
Yeah, Ion, do you have like if you wanted to add any more, or are you satisfied with the end result?
Well, I do want to bring up one, like, not necessarily a mistake, but a challenge I had that I remembered. You know when I scream when I'm being burned alive by the flamethrower at the end?
I thought those were like a thing of roaches. Those were like
Not the very end, like the like you know like I told you weren't gonna like this, and I go what the hell? And
I thought that was like a roach like.
no, that's a flamethrower.
I mean, okay. It was like so narratively, it's a flamethrower.
And yeah, then there's like go eat you filthy bastards, and you gotta bleep that out. But I guess if you're watching it, the films anyways, it's a line in the
You bleep me out in the beginning, and then you're like, everyone just watch the films.
It's too late. You can spoil it. Well, okay, but Forever Main, the director isn't here.
Plus, Forever Main is like is a capital M
And you can't
masterpiece.
spoil Forever Main because it just that's the
Forever Main is off limits.
It's a great film. It should be studied.
well, the scream I do when I'm being burned alive. So you didn't know that was a flamethrower.
Oh, I mean, I figured it was like a different sound effect than like. I thought that was like a
Somebody's
surrealist
gonna be
version
dying.
of like
Okay.
a roach.
Who here knew it was a flamethrower when they heard it?
Only
Okay,
three?
interesting.
You said it earlier whenever you burned alive.
Oh,
Okay.
You put your damn hand down.
I mean, like
Just
when you watched it for the first time. Did y'all know it was a flamethrower?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think so.
See,
I thought it was
I don't
roaches
remember.
too.
I thought it was just like some like eraser. David Lynch esque. Let's just make some weird audio choices.
Okay.
And, like
So I need to get an animation for that.
Okay,
But
I knew it was a flamethrower because I heard the sound effect before.
it's
a
from
very
Team
familiar-
Fortress 2.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I use the Team Fortress 2 flamethrower effect so it would be more familiar. Because I've played a lot of Team Fortress 2, so, I was like, you know what? And I pitched it down a little bit to make it, more unique. So it wouldn't be directly ripping off. But when I did that scream, see, I can't actually be that loud in my apartment. So what I have to do, I've been working on this for a while, is working on my vocal fry, so I'm not hurting my voice when I'm screaming. So I can go like this as long as I want. I can talk like this all day, and it ain't gonna hurt me one bit. because I'm doing a vocal fry. I'm not actually straining my voice that much. It's about getting your voice like that. That's how you do it. You get that weird little moment like between your voices, and you hit that fry. And so, but I wasn't really happy with the way the scream sounded with just the vocal fry, because I was doing the vocal fry as a different character, and it sounded too much like the tenant.
Oh, yes.
So I. So I produced the hell out of it. I forgot I think I added a flanger on it that made it sound really weird. Like the scream sounds otherworldly.
Paired with the flamethrower sound effect, it was really like, I'm not off-putting is the right word, but like visceral, I guess.
It's super visceral. Yeah. I'm really happy with how that turned out. But what I'm going to do differently, I'm keeping that production the same. I'm not changing anything, but I'm going to make an actual animation to go with it that shows the characters. And then I actually, I forgot when, but I realized, you know what? I want to continue this story. And I wrote the outline for 6 more. So there's an entire story.
Glad to know there's potential.
Yeah, so it goes heavy on the social commentary. It goes very heavy on the social commentary, and that first one is meant to be social commentary in some ways, but I really dig into it with the other ones.
It's very good.
Yeah, so there will be sequels. There will be a Peculiar Maintenance Request 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
They'll keep coming out until they actually fix your...
Yeah.
They end when the washing machine is fixed.
I'm going to keep sending them to my apartment with threatening messages. like vaguely threatening.
And also a link to Forever Made.
This will be you.
Spoon feed them Forever Man. Like give them like 5 seconds Forever Man each clip. They have to like it's like a puzzle they're putting together pieces.
Oh, you're right. Then they have to go like put it into like Audacity and find the spectrograph that takes them to a link. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, Tim, Michael, anything y'all do different if y'all had more money or time or less roommates laughing loudly?
I'm pretty satisfied, all things considered, with it. But I think if we would have had an actual script instead of more so bullet points, it could have been stronger.
I'd probably want to go into the characters a bit more that were like kind of there. Maybe go into him a little bit more as well, because I feel like it's a little short, I guess, and it could have just dived a bit more into his mentality, I think, rather than just kind of showing it all happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd still want to keep the kind of the fractured nature of it, where it kind of like jumped between like all the different characters and scenes like that, but I'd want to kind of go into him a bit more and show like everything.
Where would you place that? Like, where would you place like his mentality? Like, well, any ideas for how would you show his mentality? Or...
No, that's where the main problem for that came from.
Yeah, but it's very good how y'all fractured it out, because it's the character's already mysterious, and then you're also trying to figure out like how does this kind of all fit together. So you're also, it's a mysterious story as well, and so you're just trying to figure out like what the hell is going on. Yeah. So it all builds up together, and it does a really good job of that.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say what would you say the motivations are for the character? Is it like jealousy? It felt like jealousy and like feeling outside of the rest of the world, like showing he's like in there. Is that kind of vibe you're going for?
There's a bit of jealousy there, and there's also kind of some curiosity, fascination that he has looking into these people. But especially with the people directly across the hall, Luke and Roger, he is jealous that they have a sort of loving, supportive relationship that he has just never really felt that he could connect with someone on that level.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah.
So another thing, we actually got audio equipment after we made it, and I'd love to be able to use that.
Yeah, that too.
So potential for a remake, or you just
maybe like further down the road, or like rewrite it, kind of storyboard it out, and like completely overhaul it in that sense. But I want to kind of do something else right now and kind of go into like a different genre, I guess, and then probably come back to it.
I think most of us feel that way, where we do something, we put that much work in, and then it's like, yeah, I could do it better, but I'm gonna do something else now. You get tired.
Exactly.
You want to move on.
Like I've had so much.
I've had the experience of doing one thing and then coming back to it more than a year later, and definitely it's nice to come back and complete it and make it better than it was, but it's like once you redo it that second time, you're like, that's it, I'm done. Not doing it again, because I did Ken, and the first time we did it was god awful, but partially because my acting was not great, but we did it on iPhone, and it was time constraints and stuff, and it was just... Then we went back and did it with better camera, better acting, and y'all got to see the final product, and hopefully it was 100 times better than...
Are we ever going to see the first one?
Yeah.
I did say...
I have the link to it.
If you show that, I'll show Terror House in its rough cut form. I think Brek might be the only person who knows about this.
Which one is this?
It's the one with the great kill in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's like it's a dog shit piece of... I hate it.
Cinema.
yeah. But it has like I think for the budget, like
it's a great.
It's
I'm not
like,
gonna say anything. I don't want to give it away.
It's like the best thing I think I've ever put the film. But that kill, like that 2 seconds. The rest
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's always those 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Fucking
so good.
Beauty.
It's real nice.
Actually, I take that back.
I wasn't expecting to hear that y'all had the link to the first Ken, so
I think Nate sent it to me a while ago.
Oh, great. I'm gonna have to talk to Nate.
Palms tonight.
I'm getting a little nervous, but it was good to revisit. I'm much more pleased with the second one. Hopefully, if y'all revisit, y'all will be more satisfied. But still, everything that was in this room, like what y'all did, leaps and bounds better than whatever the first Ken was, because that was like...
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, great.
Watch party. I've heard some stories about the production going wild. And like,
yeah, it was.
It's a bad way. Gone on someone like Klaus Kinski style.
It was supposed to be like me directing, writing, and acting, and then it turned out I didn't have any creative control out of nowhere. But Beau, anything you want to change about induction or meal? Any more time or money you need for it?
Meal was fine. I don't have any complaints on meal. Like I said, I was kind of go back to my roots with just skit making. I don't really call it a film. I mean, I haven't named it as a film on my YouTube channel for, the views. But it's more of a skit. So I don't really... that one I think is fine. I mean, I had some complaints about... the very end, like the guy screaming in the bathroom. I saw some criticism saying it was too early, which is fine. Like all I literally did, I was gonna have my roommate scream in the bathroom and just have that audio. My head was just pounding. It was just, I don't know why, but that day I was like, I couldn't even get off the couch when I was editing. So I was like, I'm just gonna add a random scream. So I just looked up man screaming on YouTube and just put it in there. But most of it, though, I don't really have any... I don't really want to change anything. Now, for induction, at some point, I would like to learn to film with cameras, but I really like how we did it with just iPhones, because we were trying to do a whole found footage-based thing for most of it, like with the whole vlogger and the GoPro cameras, whatever, and making the quality crappier, whatever, and all that stuff. I did like how we did most of it on iPhone. Now, for the audio... We didn't have any mics. We just had the phone mics. So when I was editing, I probably could have done a better job in the audio. I've started to learn more audio stuff, like blending in more music or people talking and making it louder and whatever, because I've learned my editing software that I do have, which, fun fact, I have everything on my phone because my computers are too crap. It's the phone lies to me on how loud it actually is. Yes. Like if I'm in editing and it's like, oh, the gain's on 10, it's really on 5, and it's like, oh, the gain's on -40, it's actually on it's on 3. It's just it's random stuff that doesn't make sense when I save it, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I definitely would work on the audio, try to make it louder and quieter in some sections, whatever, so it could be more balanced.
Get headphones.
Yeah.
Headphones are critical for mixing audio.
Oh, really?
Yes, because you have to find something to play audio back to you that you can get used to, and you need to listen to other things on it so you know what it's supposed to sound like. You have to get an ear for it. Currently, I've been mixing on shitty speakers. Like it's cartoonishly loud bass along with lacking in mids. So, but I know what it's supposed to sound like. So you have to just get used to it.
Yeah, because I don't edit with headphones on because, but I probably should start doing that.
Buy monitors because the phone just doesn't get that range of frequencies you need.
Or
you miss all the bass.
Like
and mids.
One thing I did for a bit because when I like started shooting like raw footage, it's a big file. One thing, just get DaVinci Resolve. It's free and like it's probably the best editing tool out there. And go your timeline and just when you're editing, it doesn't need to look good. You just make it like 480p, and they'll like run a lot smoother that way. And that has like a pretty solid audio editor in it, like with Fairlight. It has its own like node-based visual effects. And like it's color corrected, I think it might have started as a color grader too, but it's color graded like La La Land and big feature films. But yeah, that's my tech work.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. No, I definitely tried DaVinci, but like I said, my computer could not run it. I literally would just press play, and it would just lag and lag and lag. I couldn't rewatch it. The other editor Adam was like, "Oh, it's fine. You don't have to rewatch it." But for me, I want to rewatch what I edited to make sure it looks good. You know, I can't just do a section and say that looks fine on the editing because sometimes it looks fine on the software, but when you replay it, like something's off or something like something doesn't seem right. Something does whatever. I've had so many things where like I've made something on it, and then it comes out and it looks like complete crap. You know?
I didn't know about that 480p trick.
Yeah. You just go to your like settings and
for me, I always render out the footage, and that makes it smoother. It is way more time consuming though.
Yeah,
I have to try to method out.
Yeah, like that's what I did for a little bit because like I got like a camera with more, or not camera, a computer with more data for engineering, and then I found out that A&M just tells you to buy a computer even though Spider can run on about anything, and because money. But
I have a good graphics card and good RAM, so I can run it with the 4K, but there are still very slight lag issues, so I'm going to try. I'll probably put it out to like 1080p.
Yeah, it depends on how much VFX you have too, or how much like when I do like a video, not like a video, like there was one shot in Wine Dine where I made this decision really late where I was just color correcting the shot max on the phone, and it just looked good when it was green because I want each kind of location of its own aesthetic. So when I was actually rendering like playing at 4K, which is something I never do, but it was like actually running smooth. And then right when I would do like a little like node correction, like to kind of make the surroundings green, the interior orange, it's just like
Yep.
And also there's like, that one little thing that annoys me. There's like a weird artifact. Sorry, on a DaVinci tangent, but.
But for Wine and Dine, any nitpicks or anything?
Everything.
Everything.
I think everything could be a little bit better. For me, I think going in, I was like, the script's okay. It's me to mess up now, and I kind of like that mess. No, but like I enjoy the horror genre. I hesitate to call it my favorite genre, but I have a much more pleasant time just writing. I don't even know how you describe it.
Like character interaction?
Kind of. Like, I think when it comes to my writing, it's very inspired by, like, Richard Linklater films and, like, Jim Jarmusch stuff. And my next project is just going to be, like, an anthology short, where you kind of, I guess, akin to, like, the Black Balloon, where, you have, like, this MacGuffin of an object that can kind of fall around and leads to absurd character interactions, because, I don't know, I just don't... It's hard for me to write I usually just write and then kind of have something come across there after writing like a really long time. And another thing is probably writing with specific people in mind, because like when I started writing it, I just didn't really know that many people who would be willing to like act in it. And on top of that, probably doing not like a rehearsal, but especially with people who like aren't super experienced, but having like a thing where they can kind of understand like the frequencies and like how they're supposed to interact with each other a little bit, because I think like when especially I love kind of working with non-actors. A lot of it's out of necessity, but you find like sometimes the performances like are inconsistent, but you'll find these like little bits that are just like better than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And like there's some of those moments in Wine and Dine where I just like went, and I kind of went with this idea in mind because it was inspired by The Lost Boys, even though it doesn't look like an expensive movie like that. It doesn't look glamorous, but there's a very slight homoerotic element to the movie, especially with like the like little like love taps and like the belly rub.
It does turn the oddness factor up.
Yeah.
Like, it keeps, it's like when you feel like the short could be kind of tailing off, it brings you right back, and it's just like you're interested again. You're like, what the hell is
There's
happening?
these little moments, like I think in the shot where where Brady and Avery walk in, Brady just throws, because Avery's not very tall, Brady just throws his jacket over her on the bed, and I was just like, that was just brilliant, but like better than I can imagine.
Well, Brady's not extremely tall either.
Yeah, but it's like comparing like Tom Cruise to Martin Scorsese. I mean,
Have you seen Nomadland?
no, I mean I know the work like her like neo-realist approach.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I guess you're talking about things you would change, or you're talking about sequels. I'm thinking about like just a Christmas project to shoot with people that like I went to high school with, and like my family, and it's gonna be probably. You mentioned Joel Haver before too, but Joel Haver has this 3-hour Oscar contest where you have to shoot everything in like 3 hours. And
I want to do that this year.
I might do something like, sort of akin to that, but just because it's like, you only have so much time to shoot with people who don't really like movies. But I might have Hans, who's on the phone with Franz, the German, come up in a scene. As well as, so I'll never do any changes to Wine and Dine, because I just don't really believe in doing like the whole George Lucas thing, because it's like, it represents where I sort of am now, like when it comes to like skill, even though I'm like, there's like a small nitpick, because I think like the stuff I shot on my phone is like the best stuff I've made, and it's annoying because I have like this like nice camera, can do like all this great stuff, it's like, I don't know, I just don't like it as much. Maybe it's because like lower expectations.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. All right. Here's a hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
No, not what you're thinking. I'm gonna shut both y'all up if y'all start going that route.
It's talking this beard very violently.
No, so
it was a conversation last.
So like, you're creating a horror film. You have an unlimited budget. You can get whatever actor you want. Every actor wants to work with you. You can pick whoever you want. What's the story going to be? Who are the actors going to be? And where's it going to be set?
Can they be dead? Like the actors?
Yeah, it can be anybody.
Okay.
Anybody.
This is just like a film idea in general. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I think he's just like the best actor of this
He's a great character.
generation.
What was he in?
The Master.
Yeah, he's basically...
he was the cult leader, right?
He's PTA's
he was
go-to
good.
guy.
He was good.
And I guess kind of off of that, I do think like there's an attractive element to that company of actors and collaborators that like you kind of could bring with each film. But it's kind of hard to think of on the spot. Probably just not a remake. I don't want to do a remake. Well, sort of. I think every horror film I like enjoy is just basically just me doing Evil Dead 2. Maybe maybe it's just because, okay, I guess I should preface this. I'll say a remake of Terror House would be what I'd make. And to explain Terror House, junior year of high school, I watched all 3 Evil Dead movies in a day, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever made, and I want to do this. So I like write a script, and it's not even properly formatted. It's like 30 pages long. It's a lot of storyboards. And then I got some people that I knew in high school to shoot it, and then like everything went wrong. So
is there a cut of it out there?
There is a rough cut. So basically, I just made it like a thing where it's like, okay, I finally just need to like finish it. So, but there's like missing audio tracks, and it's just a piece of garbage. But it taught me a lot. Because like I was like, it's hard to shoot like a scene in like an afternoon when you're doing a Mad Max Fury Road-esque any summer. It's like, okay, we need to edit like relatively quickly on like you need to do like a longer takes ish. Like not saying you need to pull on like an Alfonso Cuarón like Children of Men shot, but just doing like a 1 minute take and do kind of like a scene in that. Probably the ideal. I kind of backtrack there, but Terror House, it's a piece of garbage. The only good thing about it is like it has a phenomenal kill. So I'd probably do a Terror House remake where Philip Seymour Hoffman plays my character, who is like the first Deadite of the film. I'd cast Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'd probably cast like Robert Downey Jr., but I'd cast like a really, really young Robert Downey Jr., like 90s.
Okay.
Like it'd probably be hell on like set, but like it's like my science experiment. I'd probably have him as like the lead, because I think he'd be willing to do a lot of crazy stunts and stuff, and yeah, I'm trying to think of like who I'd cast as like the female lead, or not female lead. See, I'm trying to remember the script, because the script and the finished product are so different, because people just leave and it's like, well, rewrite it in an afternoon. But yeah, I'll just make basically an Evil Dead movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman and young Robert Downey Jr.
Interesting. Beau? Yeah.
So, horror's not really like my genre, but comedy is. But I do like doing horror like elements. So like one of my favorite actors, which R.I.P. is Christopher Lee. I like Christopher Lee a lot. I think his history is so cool. The fact that James Bond is based off of him. He was like the first Dracula, like all that stuff. It's really cool. Well, he was in a movie called, you guys may or may not know it. I saw a review of this. I think this movie's so funny. No, it wasn't Lord of the Rings. It was
Star Wars.
Star Wars. No, it wasn't Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. It's not very well known. It's called Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf.
Is that a sequel to, like, is it like the Joe Dante film?
I've seen a review on that.
I've never seen Howling 1, but I've seen Howling 2, and it's such a funny train wreck of an like 80s or 90s movie. It's like really bad. But it's also but Christopher Lee is like a star in it, right? And like he literally says a bunch of they're trying to attribute Dracula stuff to him or to it, like we're going to Transylvania, but it's about werewolves. So it's like a bunch of Dracula stuff but applied to werewolves. But for what I would want to do, I would want to keep the goofier aspect and keep Christopher Lee as like an old Dracula. But I want it to be like the old Dracula's pissed off at all the new vampires, like oh I don't like they're just like they're not doing it right, like they're not as like when I think of Christopher Lee Dracula, I think of like prim and proper, whatever, dressed up in a suit, whatever, and all that
Very
stuff,
sexy.
like button up, like get to the ladies, whatever, and all that stuff. But then I think like newer vampires, it's like Twilight, where they're like, oh, like I sparkle in the sun, whatever, all that stuff, or more of like they're more of like a like oh they're hot instead of like oh like whatever.
Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
No, I haven't. No.
You gotta watch
it.
it.
That's
so
the best horror comedy ever made.
I agree, but the movie, but the show is
Evil
good
Dead
too.
2, man.
I haven't finished the show yet.
That's fair.
Wait,
I would
what
say
is
Evil Dead 2 is the best horror.
I haven't
I
seen
think
any of
it's
the
more
Evil Dead
horror
yet.
than in my opinion, it's more horror.
It's-
But I like
It's the Three Stooges
I like Army of
books.
Darkness more in
Really?
terms of comedy.
And you
That's
hate
way
on
more
me.
Three Stooges.
And you
than-
hate on me for liking Taika Waititi. And you.
Whoa!
Everyone likes Taika Waititi.
I never said that.
Vanity Fair interview. We all like
I made
Taika.
fun of you for defending Love and Thunder.
Wait, you like
Okay.
Love and Thunder?
He likes Love and Thunder.
I thought it was alright. There are issues, but it's not the worst thing.
I hate it the more I think about it, but it's
Okay,
not
I
the-
agree with that.
I wonder why you like Thor, Love and Thunder.
Well,
Okay,
this is off topic.
In defense of Taika Waititi, though, just to close this up, Jojo Rabbit was one of my favorite movies.
It's
Jojo Rabbit's
good.
so good.
It's so good.
My mom watched that with me, and like typically she doesn't like the kind of like things that I like, and she was like, "Wow, that was like really good." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the same guy who did Thor, like Ragnarok."
Dark World.
I was like, oh, no, not Dark World.
I know.
But no. Anyway, I want to do like a horror theme, but more of a comedy. So if you want to know the vibe I'm going for, definitely watch Howling 2, My Sister's a Werewolf, because like there's so many funny scenes. There's some really weird scenes, but there's some really really funny scenes in there that are just like iconic, and I would want to implement that general vibe into the show, into the film, but make it about Dracula, like actually make it about Dracula, like put like homage to Christopher Lee, but keep him as like a good guy, because when I think of Christopher Lee Dracula, I don't know why, I've always thought of like him as like a hero though, anti-hero for some reason. I don't know why, because like I can't see Christopher Lee as like a bad guy. Even though when he played Count Dooku, I was like, oh, that's just Christopher Lee. Like I can't like think of him as like a bad guy. I've always thought of him as like a good guy in like in movies and whatever and all that stuff.
He's morally gray.
Morally gray. That's what I'm saying. Like a morally gray like Dracula. Like I just think of him as like an anti-hero. So I would love to put that in the film, but make it like comedic. Whatever. Have it more of like a mentor figure to like some other Dracula hunters. Whatever. I don't know. Like I just. That's the general vibe.
You seen the Coppola Dracula?
The what?
The Bram Stoker. It's called Bram Stoker Dracula. It's Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula movie. That's kind of like what you're saying, but
that's a really old one where they have him move in reverse.
On
right?
some parts, it's basically all filmed like it's a silent film, or it's got a bunch of old school special effects. So there's homages to like paper puppets.
But I think it was it an 80s or 90s film?
It was 90s.
Okay.
He basically had the budget or the opportunity to get ILM to do all the visual effects, fired them, and hired his son to do it, and everything's in camera except for like one blue flame, which is like an optical. It's all in camera. It's like
I need to watch that. I haven't seen
I've heard about the reverse scenes because that's what they used to do to make it look weirder when he went. You reverse it as he comes towards you.
Yeah, but that's like a romantic Dracula take, which.
Tim, Michael, anybody you're gonna cast in a horror that like you have all the resources. Who are you casting? Where's it set? What are you gonna make it about? Y'all gonna be like the next Coen brothers?
Do we have like an individual idea, or are we doing this together?
Y'all could do individual if y'all like.
I mean, I think either way.
Okay.
If it's an idea one of us had, we would both end up working on it.
That's true. You want to go with your idea first, and then I can do mine, or
You go with yours first, because I'm still
all right.
formulating mine.
My roommate's been playing a lot of Bloodborne recently.
Bloodborne's great.
Okay.
And so I kind of would love to do like a cosmic horror type scenario, but kind of keep it like at a distance where it feels like you're just like looking into the mind of someone who's going through it all. Almost because like there's the great ones who like just kind of bleep in reality, and then all of a sudden you're into this like deep like mess that's beyond comprehension, of course, but I'd love to kind of go into a reality that just got bleeped into existence just because like this, I don't know, great one fell asleep or whatnot, and you are in the mind of this guy who's going through this like absolute terrible nightmare. I feel like that'd be a cool idea. And I don't know who I'd want. I feel like Willem Dafoe would fit.
Oh,
It would fit anything.
Yeah, exactly.
If fit anything, if you're crazy,
Yeah.
enough.
Exactly.
I mean, he'll do anything. He'll be
That's
in
why I want-
Aquaman.
yeah,
He'll be in Aquaman and then be in like
The
Pasolini.
Lighthouse. Or something.
Yeah.
That's why I want him.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best.
Brek and I have been talking about like a Lovecraftian like spy or
Yeah. Do we want to go to you first? Because I want to talk about that.
Y'all might go on a tangent real quick.
Willem Dafoe's a good choice.
It would be, since you brought up Lovecraft, it'd kind of be interesting if they merged Evil Dead with Lovecraft.
Now I want to see that.
Ash take on Great Ones or something like that somehow.
Evil Dead 4, or I haven't seen like all of whatever the show, Ash versus Evil Dead, so I don't know how that ends, but like, kind of make the film that, I don't know if you guys have seen the Army of Darkness deleted
Ultimate
ending. Yeah, because that's
ending,
kind of what that leads
yeah.
into a little bit. It's like, which is, I think I like the ending of the theatrical cut, but that's much more, the one after that would be.
He'd probably be the only person who could take on a great one.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Despite being a moron. Like, he's such an idiot, but I love him.
Yeah. That or maybe do like a pirate horror movie.
Ooh.
You don't
like it.
There's not too many like
Yeah,
really
I
good
like
pirate movies out
Pirate
there.
movies.
That would work with the
Pirates.
That would work with
Pirates
the
is
idea of the
porno movie.
Glassphobia.
It's like the most, it was the most
Awesome.
expensive one ever.
Pirate movies are the reason why we get none of it is because it's so freakishly expensive to make. That's
yeah.
good enough. I watched Captain Phillips recently. That was like the most realistic depiction of pirate because it's based on a true story. But are you talking about more like that or more like Pirates of the Caribbean?
We're talking about Pirates Band of Misfits.
Is that what it's called? Like the
No,
artist-
but actually, yes.
That's actually not.
I love that film so much.
Not tonally Caribbean, but like more so closer to the Golden Age probably
So like
than films.
it's like a Polanski whatever you call Polanski Blackbeard movie. Is it gonna be like that? I haven't seen it.
I don't know what you're. I actually don't know.
It's like an 80s Polanski.
Yeah, something like that though. I don't know.
So
I don't know what I would do
so
with
like
that.
1700s
Yeah.
pirates.
So perfect. That's like such a perfect
Make
shit.
it like the lighthouse, but they're on a ship or something.
You know, I have
it's
a
the
guy
lighthouse
in
before
mind
they get to the lighthouse.
this guy named Johnny Depp. I think he would be a great pirate.
Bro, you probably get him
get-
pretty cheap now too.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video of him playing guitar? He's awful. He's really, really
Have you
bad.
guys heard of Woody Allen playing like the clarinet? He's like really into jazz. He like holds clarinet shows. I think it's like the bizarrest thing.
That's funny.
Actually, I would like to see a Woody Allen pirate film, like in his prime, not anymore, because you know, you don't need it. We probably reference Polanski.
But who are you casting, and what's the story gonna be about?
All right, it's gonna be a gang stalking story. I have so many big projects I'm working on, but what comes to mind right now is a gang stalking story starring Germa. 985. Do y'all know who that is?
Yeah.
I grew up watching him, and he just has this like ADHD, like bizarre world of like characters and stuff. I just like imagining making a film about him and all the weird characters like coming to life for him, and they're like invading his normal space.
It's Walk with a Mark.
And there's got to be a part where he gets stalked by William Dafoe, of course.
No, I was getting there.
It's Walk. Have you started the movie Walk with a Marlin?
No, oh my God, Germa is the great one. That's
is the
perfect.
great
He revealed that at the end.
No. Have you guys seen Walk with a Marlin? It's like the Robert Zemeckis film style.
I know of it. I haven't seen it.
It's very okay. I mean, spoiler to this shitty movie. It's got a scene where he has like a vision of a toy Nazi shooting up a courtroom. But the sad part is it's based on a true story. It's basically about this guy who got like beaten up by like white nationalists and like makes like tells stories with like action figures to cope. And I was like, basically, what if you just made it like wrote it and then got Robert Zemeckis to direct it.
Dr. Forrest Gump for
Or
Fantastic.
also Pinocchio remake
and also Pinocchio.
And Back to the Future.
and Polar Express. I'm just gonna name all his bad movies.
Well, I imagine Germa's abusive manager is played by Robert Pattinson, and Germa's trying to figure all this stuff out. He becomes acquaintance with a homeless man who's played by Danny DeVito, and also another homeless man played by Charlie Day. You know, you have that duo going on, and then he learns that the person who's gang stalking him is Adam Driver.
Maybe Adam Driver based on when the shirt. It's just Ben Stiller.
He's just completely naked.
Yeah, you know, get all these big actors and then shoots like this like 16mm like grindhouse film. And, like, it's like a bunch of weird like gross like this.
Oh, another idea I've had instead of all that, a big idea I've been working on for a while is the idea of, you know what? No, I'm not going to put that out there. It's my idea.
Oh.
Never mind. You don't get it. You don't get it. I'm getting possessive
You're
now.
gatekeeping.
Nah, the idea is it's gang. Like, y'all know the gang stalking like conspiracy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's where you think that someone has been gang stalking you. Like people just are watching all the time. It's usually schizophrenia. And the idea is they're putting like radio waves in your head. And I had this idea, what if it's set in a fantasy setting and it's wizards? You're being wizard stalked. You're actually being wizard stalked and everyone thinks you're crazy. I want to make a video game about that, but...
Would you make it like campy or would you make it like...
It'd be super campy. It'd be campy and fantasy, but also like a parody. It'd be a comedy at the same time. It's really
So like Young
fun.
Frankenstein with like...
I haven't seen Young Frankenstein yet.
Mel Brooks or what are their names? Abram Zucker. They're the guy who did like Airplane and Top Secret and Naked Gun, so, which are all great,
Yeah, that's some ideas I have. I have so many other ideas too.
Yeah, and I do too. I just have a huge list. Out of all the lists, I think there's one I want to talk about. It's very similar to yours, how we discussed before. It's a Lovecraftian spy movie, but more specifically, a Lovecraftian private eye film.
Oh, so
but
I like this already.
This year, recently, I watched a Have y'all heard of Cabinet of Curiosities, Guillermo del Toro's anthology?
Yeah, I've watched
And there's
sections of
one
those.
episode called The Autopsy.
Oh,
And that was like,
that's so good.
that is like exactly like how I had in mind, like the vibe of it. Like it's like Lovecraftian-ish in substance, but also have that like almost like private eye detective backdrop to it. It just fits so well. And I'm glad I at least see that depiction put on camera. So something like that would be awesome, but in a feature-length film runtime. Another one, I think spy movie genre is completely underutilized still. You get the same thing over and over again. Tenet, I think, is my favorite deviation from that, with like a very science fiction heavy, but feel very James Bond-like as well. And mixing that style, like a James Bond or something like that, with horror that just sounds awesome to me. Like,
Okay. Who would you cast? Robert Pattinson and John David Washington?
Oh, Daniel Craig would be really fun, especially now that he's not James Bond anymore. But casting him like the character is totally different, but still within the spy
You
genre.
should do Idris Elba since he's likely not going to be able to
That's
Bond.
true, too.
That's like,
Yeah,
He would
I was
be-
really gonna say that too. Yeah,
Idris
no.
Elba would be awesome.
Yeah, he'd be great as a James Bond.
I love it when people cast actors who are character actors, but for a character that's like very unorthodox, like Uncut Gems, Adam Sandler.
oh,
Yeah.
that's such a good
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Like he,
I like Robert Pattinson's career trajectory right now. He's doing a lot of weird stuff, and he's making a lot of money off of
You know
it.
what? I want Adam Sandler in my movie too.
I'd love to work with that. I'd love to work. Well, I guess he's retired, but I find that. Oh, here you can go ahead.
I was gonna say like he has to be in Mine because mine's a comedy with Dracula because of Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, I was gonna say
He has to be in Mine.
he's dead now. Well, I guess Christopher Lee's dead, but there's a movie called Dracula: Dead and Loving It. It's a Mel Brooks movie starring what's the guy with the white hair? Leslie Nielsen. It's got like a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that Rotten Tomatoes matters, but
Adam Sandler is undead.
yeah, no, I think Adam Sandler for me. I think like obviously, you know, I'm not a fan of like the grown-ups movies, but I think like Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, yeah.
He's so terrific in that.
I hear it's really good. I haven't seen it yet. though.
It's probably, well, no, it's my second favorite romance
PTA.
film of I was gonna say romance film of the 2010s. I mean, I guess horror cast. I'm just gonna say actors I like to work with. I think Ethan Hawke is just
Yes.
like, and Julie Delpy too. Oh,
He just seems like a joy
Ethan
to work with,
Hawke,
honestly.
What was he-
fellow Austinite. he's from
you've
he's
seen
from Austin.
Sinister. Are you talking about a horror or just in general?
I'm just looking. I'll look.
He's
You don't have
in
to
a
tell me.
lot of movies.
Before trilogy and he's his big break is Dead Poet
Training.
Society.
Oh, okay. That was
That's him young, like
That's true, that's true.
One actor we could probably honestly, like, realistically get in a movie we want is Eric Roberts, because that man does not say no. Julia Roberts' older
Oh, I know
brother.
what you're talking about.
He
Yeah.
apparently has the most credits for any actor on IMDb, like over 200 something credits.
Can we also throw
And-
Nick Cage in there as like who we want to
Yes.
Okay, I would love working with Nick Cage.
I would
He
just
is-
be on set with him and just
Yeah.
like
I've seen interviews. He is such a joy to
I
listen
know.
to. Even on or off camera, he's just so fun.
Also, I haven't seen the movie, but I desperately want to. But there's a movie from 1980s called Peggy Sue Got Married. It's a Francis Ford Coppola film, and Coppola took the brilliant idea of casting Nick Cage and Jim Carrey in the same movie, and they sing together.
I was about to say Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
I think
like-
Jim Carrey would be good to work with too.
See, I'm like, one thing I've heard about like Jim Carrey when it comes to working with him is that like, for his more dramatic stuff, they exhaust the hell out of him because he's such like a, like I almost it's like an
Energetic?
idiot. Yeah, he's just
Animated.
Yeah, it's just every idea goes onto the screen, and when like so it's almost like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is like treated like it's a feature film. We're shooting like 75 takes, just so we can get this guy like exhausted, so like we could find something that's like not, you know,
Yeah, interesting.
but also at the same time it's like, I mean Ace Ventura is great. It's
The
like one of
Mask
the
is
great.
great. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's like I view it the way I view Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam. It's like a great vehicle film. Like the film is around it is fine, but like that central performance.
Oh, yeah.
They're so empathetic, and it's just, so I've kind of gotten an acting tangent.
I want to try and do a Jim Carrey kind of role because I can do like the crazy faces, So I kind of want to do a more animated role at some point, but I don't know how I would do that. Or if you have some ideas for me, I will do it. I'll go crazy. And the thing is, my beard kind of hides some of the facial expressions too. It's about to go.
I mean, we talked about
shade.
In the next 2 weeks, we're almost done with Panopticon. Actually, it's gonna be Emerald Ranch, so it's gonna be after Thanksgiving. We're gonna do that final shoot where I'm bringing in a barber and she's gonna cut my hair, do a spin around, do an animation of like as I spin around, the hair goes down and then back out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it'll be really cool.
I was gonna say, like, God, what was it called? I mean, we talked about the idea of doing the movie where you play the president, which I'm still kind of going with that, but I'm sorry, I'm adding it to this Joel Haber 3-hour competition where I cast my dad to play an advisor and like the president, and he basically, the advisor like the straight man and the president is like, we gotta nuke them, like with a big cowboy hat. And
George Bush?
no. Well, more. Okay, this is a deep cut film, but there's a movie from the '60s called Babbo '73 that's directed by Robert Downey Sr.
You mentioned it.
Yeah, and it's like American New Wave-ish. It's just French New Wave. It's like Adult Swim meets a French New Wave film. It's very bizarre, and there's a character who's like that, and he feels like he would sit like nicely next to George C. Scott from Doctor Strangelove. Just like this, God damn. Take care of it.
All right. Brek, so like the horror genre is very like widespread. What do you think makes horror movies effective, and what do you think makes them like the best to like keep people coming back to see the movie?
So I'd say the what a lot of like I guess more B-rated horror movies don't understand is the horror comes from you caring about the characters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So some of my favorite the horror movies that terrified me the most is the ones where it's the most human. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if y'all heard of Lake Mungo.
Oh my God!
That
the scariest film
freaked
I've ever
me
seen.
out.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't sleep that night. I saw it a second time with a bunch of Swamp friends, and I literally told them, it was on Discord, told them to pause. I went to go turn on my light, and we went to finish it. That's never happened to me. It's a visceral reaction that I highly recommend it. I actually would only recommend watching it alone, because that's where you get the like...
Watch on like a laptop too. It's like
watch it alone. It's a mockumentary in Australia, and one thing that like helps alleviate some of the fear that I have when watching scary movies is going to behind the scenes, watching that. Mm-hmm. There's nothing for this film. This film, that's this director's only film, and then he just dipped. Like, this was made in 2008. He hasn't made a single thing since. Nobody can look him up. Nobody knows who he is.
What the? There's only one DVD too, right? And it's like some shitty like pack like.
All the actors have like no other credit except for this. Maybe set a couple extra roles, like roles as extras, but it's like real. It just dude. I'm actually getting goosebumps just like.
It goes for Cannibal Holocaust went for with like, but less sleazy and gross, because it's like, oh, we're not going to tell the actors don't be in public, and like there's that mystery element, but that means just straight exploitation. Like Mungo is just perfect almost.
100%. The most effective thing you can do for your horror movies is making your characters more human and more relatable.
I think Hereditary did a good job at that too.
Yes.
Because you really empathize with that movie.
Ari Aster is really good at writing horror.
Was that the writer for Hereditary?
Yes, writer and director. He did Midsommar.
I haven't seen Midsommar yet.
He knows how to terrify you correctly.
I'm going to jump to Tim and Michael real quick because they got to head out in a few minutes. So what do y'all think? What makes effective horror?
It's for sure. I mean, he's right with the characters. Because if you don't care, Friday the 13th or stuff like that, that's not scary to me. It's just watching assholes die, you know? But to actually be like viscerally invested in it, you need good characters and good scares as well, and a good combination of the two.
I think really horror has a lot of room to just do practically whatever you want with it, and so there's just a lot of creativity behind it that kind of drives it forward, and you keep getting the new things. And with COVID happening kind of recently, there's a lot of smaller productions where they could do those. And I think that helps a lot with where horror kind of continues to keep going forward.
Yeah. And there's a lot that you can innovate with it too, implementing different genres and stuff, like whether it's comedic or overly dramatic or more art house metaphors. I think it's a very versatile genre than a lot of people kind of give it credit for. I think a lot of people dismiss it more so because of the schlockiness that some B films have. But there's definitely a lot of layers to it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
We'll send y'all on your way.
Absolutely.
Nice
Thank
having
you
you
for having
guys.
us.
Yeah, thank you.
So Brek and I kind of cut y'all off, but I guess either one of y'all can kind of go from wherever. Where do you feel horror is the peak and most effective?
I agree with it being relatable. It's about the characters. It's about caring about the characters. I know my favorite horror movie this year was Pearl. I haven't seen X, but I really liked Pearl. And I know Pearl, for me, I found the character, the whole idea of being trapped somewhere and not being able to get out, I've had similar experiences. So it felt very relatable for me. And so that's part of what made the horror very visceral.
X was a fun movie because it wasn't like some high stakes type movie where there's a million different plot points. You're there, you got to get out, and it's just fighting for survival. And it felt like it went back to that kind of classic 70s horror, where it felt very rooted in its original roots. And it's like they weren't creating anything new, but it was fun and visually appealing to look at when you watch it. So I thought it was a very good movie. It's not like it was going to just break like glass ceilings or anything, but it was definitely a fun movie. Definitely they could expand from there, which they have with Pearl and stuff like that.
I think for me, you also have to think about how you view horror over the years. You know, when you're a kid, things are a lot scarier. And I don't feel myself feeling scared from any movies unless it's like psychological. Mm-hmm. It becomes more of an empathy thing rather than a something in the dark coming to get you kind of thing. When I was a kid, there'd be certain video games I'd play. I'm too scared to go. They're gonna kill me, right? It felt too real. But then I get older. It's like I don't really care anymore. It's more about the situation.
I get what you mean with like the psychological, because it's like there's a monster out there. It's some creature that doesn't exist. So it's like, well, it's scary, but to an extent, it can't exist because you can turn off the TV and go to bed. And it's like, well, this monster's not going to get me because it's not real. But it's like when you do the psychological, it's like those things could actually happen to you. Your mind could be played with, and
that's why I think Annihilation is my favorite, the scariest. I think Annihilation has the scariest moment in any movie for me. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Have you seen it?
I still haven't seen it.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Natalie Portman, right?
Yes. Have you seen it?
No.
Have you seen it, Beau?
No.
You're the only one here who's seen it?
I have.
You know what scene I'm talking
of
about.
Course.
It is legendary.
Mm-hmm.
It is the single scariest not scariest movie, but scariest scene in a movie.
But you haven't seen Lake Mungo yet.
You
that's
haven't
true.
seen Firewalk with Me, which is...
Oh my god, yes! Oh, I forgot about that.
Which I mean, that and Lake Mungo are very similar. Saying it's about a girl named Laura, but... Sorry.
I forgot about that.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, there was a scary moment in that.
I don't know if it's a horror film. It's just...
I'd say it's a horror film.
It's more horror than anything else, but it gets under your skin.
Yeah.
Under the skin?
Speaking of Under the Skin, I love Under the Skin. That's a
Tear your skin off.
extremely
Tear your skin
There are
underrated.
worms under your skin.
There's bugs under your skin.
Oh, that could be a horror movie. There are bugs under your skin.
That's in the
Rip it off.
Mummy movie.
Yeah, that was the Mummy.
But it's like the very poor 3D animation where it's
I love that
they're
so
just
much.
warping the
I think that
frame.
movie's so great though.
I actually only seen it last week for the first time.
It's a fun. I was watching some. It was Brendan Fraser's breaking down his most famous roles, and he was saying like when they were going into it, they didn't know if it was action or romance or comedy and stuff like that, but they just did it and had fun with it, and it turned out it's a good movie. It's a fun movie and everything. It's like elements that you don't normally get to see. I guess would y'all consider it like a zombie plague movie, or
it's like for me, I hate the phrase guilty pleasure. It's like what you like.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that movie is to me, ish. Like not in the same vein as like a Swamp Ape or which is like if the listeners don't know what that movie is, it's on YouTube. It's made by this like dude, bro. Like it's like if Jake Paul was like, you take Jake Paul and Lou Ferrigno, mix them together, and this like guy with like
Dude, that's
he makes a horror film, and it looks like it's shot out of like on an iPhone out of someone's like ass, and it's I almost want to host a screening of it. I think it's just like it's brilliant, but yeah, that was my not so guilty pleasure tangent.
Beau, is there any horror movies that stand out that you think are extremely effective?
So, yeah, I was thinking about that for a while, like, just hearing everyone saying, like, oh, it's about the characters, the story, or about, like, whatever, but what I kept hearing was, like different moments that stuck out, like, iconic moments, and that's what I really think define, not just horror, but just genre, anything in general. For it to stick out to you, it's got to have something iconic. Either that be a character saying something, a specific line, or a specific scene. Like, for example, in Alien, when the alien's coming out of the chest for the first, it's an extremely iconic scene. That's what makes it, that's what sticks in your brain. Even like a kid, like, a specific monster will stick in your brain and scare the crap out of you, I think, personally, it's about what scene, quote, character, something makes it iconic. So instead of it being about... it can be about relating to characters, like whatever, like for example, the whole buildup of like, even though it's gone very downhill, Marvel in its early days, relate like seeing Iron Man build up to where he is now, whatever. That's really good, but think of it like this: for Spider-Man, when you see the newer Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, yeah, they're better movies. But when you watch Tobey Maguire...
Oh, okay, wait.
I will say Spider-Man 2 is the greatest comic book movie ever made. I'm not even
saying,
gonna say it's like the best Spider-Man movie.
I'm saying, like, it has more iconic moments. Like, you remember it better because it has so many more, like the dancing scene, or see a chump when he jumps down the sewer, whatever. Like,
that's all Spider-Man 3.
Well, I'm saying, but you remember it better, though, because it has... There are funny moments,
stands out.
Even when it's not on purpose, it's funnier, like, it stands out to you more, and I think that's what makes a movie theater experience more memorable, even if it's not, makes it particular, like, even if it's not very good, it makes it more memorable. Like, people still talk about, I still hear people talk about Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, Tobey Maguire, even though the Tom Holland movies are better... Like, well, in a critical sense, like if you,
I still don't agree. I think that it's no. I'm not gonna. I'm not
trying to spark an argument. I'm saying like
I know. I kind of hear what you're saying because like
not
from their camp.
Like they're campy. No, I personally prefer the Tobey Maguire movies. Like, I prefer those over all the Spider-Man movies.
So they're better movies.
To me, they are. But in a critical sense. The world building, the like you could say special effects or the dialogue or whatever, like it's just better, like into like the production, the whatever, like it just like whatever. But what's more memorable is Tobey Maguire. So that's what I think is what defines movies. Like for horror, for example, like a specific like makeup technique or a specific specific scare, or like there's a really, I don't know where it was produced, but it's like something about some kind of monster, La Llorona.
I can't say it.
That's it. But there's a scene that everyone was like, "Oh my god, it looks so real," where her jaw unhinges and she's literally eating a person, like this monster.
No, you're thinking of The Curse of Deborah something. I know that scene that you're referring to. I don't think it's like...
Yeah, but it's extremely iconic, though, in terms of, like...
It's a bagul.
In terms of, like, caught on camera, scary footage, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's extremely iconic, and so, like, that's what you know the movie for. So moments like that, I think, are what define, like, what makes a movie, like, good or whatever, or, like, that's like, oh, that's me. Like, when the Joker says, we live in a society. As memed as that is... It's still like, oh, you remember the movie, you remember that, you're like, oh, yeah, you had a point, like, oh my god, like, oh, it's me, or whatever, like, all that stuff, like, that's what defines a movie, or just specific moments that just stick out to an audience member, and it could be anything.
I agree. It's also shot composition. It's like really beautiful shots will stick out in a movie too.
Oh yeah,
Blade Runner.
shots.
Like that, the iconic scene of like the hologram standing over Ryan Gosling
Yeah.
in Blade Runner. Like that is iconic.
Yeah, like stuff like that is what you like remember, especially like kids, especially kids. I have like a great like memory of like specific things that happen that can like really like influence how they like are thinking when they're older. Just like for me, I thought like the clown in It was like so scary as a kid, whatever, and that's what's like iconic like to me. Like, recognize, oh, that was scary. You was like whatever.
It also applies for comedy.
Yeah,
Because you-
comedy.
Horror and
Yeah.
comedy are like, they're really close. Like even
Like
Yeah, they're both.
It's getting ripped apart.
They're both trying to evoke a very human reaction. One of them
Yeah.
is laughter, the other one is fear.
there's also like that uncomfortable like laughter. I think they're not horror directors, but something that Coen Brothers do so brilliantly is like you kind of feel like laughing because it's like, oh, someone's pulling a gun on someone and they shoot and then it ricochets and hits them and you're like, what the hell? Sometimes that's a good what the hell, and sometimes that's Halloween Kills, but like I kind of love that movie, but I think that movie is like David Gordon Green's Freddy Got Fingered. It's just like almost a shitpost, but
Did you know that Bill Murray agreed to do Garfield because he thought it was being directed by the Coen brothers?
Yeah, it was like Ethan Cohen and it was Etan Cohen, or it was like the guy that it's basically the H was moved to his last name or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But anything you think is the most effective for horror, Blake?
So, people mention it like Hereditary and Midsummer are, I guess, more contemporary examples, but horror can talk about things that in a way that other genres can't. It's like Hereditary is about grief, and Midsummer is about like breakups and being a shitty boyfriend, and those like elements can kind of resonate in a more provocative way in like a horror film. Like I love Carrie, and I think because that film is a horror film and it has the excuse of being operatic and like very grand in some scenes, and I think that makes the relationship between Carrie and her mother so much more like you feel it a little bit more just because it has that excuse. The horror gives you the excuse to be operatic. I think another great example was a film it's not like it's an iconic film, but I had never seen it, was Bride of Frankenstein, which I think is arguably the greatest horror film ever made. It's not particularly the scariest, but is horror at its most like sympathetic. Like and you can like read it in so many ways, because you can read it because basically Frankenstein just gets like he just gets like beaten up and he doesn't really recognize his own strength. He's kind of almost like a wounded animal in some regards, and he comes across the blind man, and the blind man's the only person that doesn't judge him, and he judges like by his character, not by his appearance or like what people think of him as. And that like it's rare I cry in movies, and it's even rarer that I cry in horror movies, and like I didn't expect this movie from like 1935 where this woman gives like a very bizarre performance to like get a tear out of me, but it does. And like I think Bride of Frankenstein's a perfect example of just being able to say things with horror that at the time you can't talk about. James Whale, for example, was a gay director working in like 30s Hollywood, and he's able to make like Frankenstein work as an allegory, and because of like the genre and just the techniques of it, you're able to like weave in these themes that were considered too taboo for the time.
Yes.
And it works so well. I think it's
You're making me realize my gay shame movie is a horror movie now.
Yes.
You're really
Yes.
this is good.
Yeah, like it's like I think it's just a genre and almost exploitation films in general. Like people like it might get an X rating, it might not be able to play in cinemas, but it's gonna push the boundaries and be provocative and challenge the viewer in ways. I mean, like you can make a film about anything because of like the exploitation genre. Like if John Waters, like a gay 17-year-old in like was it Vermont or Pittsburgh in 1959, can make a movie about an interracial couple being married by like a Klansman, you can make a movie about anything. Like, and I think that's what like the horror genre, because it's kind of like the front and center of like quote unquote genre cinema.
Yeah,
is, like what you can do.
Yeah.
But there is one aspect of horror film from a technical standpoint is it can be a variety of budget.
Mm-hmm.
It can be like, that's why I notice a lot of like student filmmakers, they immediately divert to horror because that's something like you could just easily accomplish with like a limited number of people, limited number of budget, and especially when I'd say about a couple months ago went on a deep dive of like really inexpensive horror film. I'm saying like $1 million under.
Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity. I saw Pontypool actually. I don't know if y'all heard of Pontypool.
That.
It's a really interesting. It was originally audio based, but then they turned into a feature film, and it's really cool. The premise of the film, it's hard to explain. I don't want to give too much away, but it's essentially a zombie virus that spreads through human language.
Oh,
And it's really cool.
That's SCP, kind
Is
of
that-
mimetic.
Yeah,
virus
but it's
kind of-
very It's I don't want to say too much because it's very interesting.
That's cool.
How they how the characters deal with that, and stuff like recently a film came out called Terrifier 2, which is
Yeah, we're talking about.
easily the goriest film I've ever seen. But I heard is only made with $250,000, which is
2.5
insane, and
Very
it's 2.5,
interesting
2 hours
film.
20 minutes.
Very interesting film to say the least. There's some, I guess.
Say what you want about
gory
it.
but funny
Shock
scenes.
factor, like all that. It's amazing what they can accomplish with $250K. Like that's crazy,
I also-
especially for the length of the movie.
I hate to kind of talk about like high art and low art because I think like it's a little bit pretentious, but I think if you want like a perfect example of like what filmmakers can do with just genre cinema, you look at like the Corman babies, like our greatest filmmakers who have ever lived started making cheapo Robert Corman films. Like you got
Like Peter Jackson with Bad Taste.
Bad Taste. I love it, which I love. Which you kind of remade with Brain Dead, and then you got like Scorsese making which isn't a horror film, but you got Boxcar Bertha, or you got Coppola making working on the Jack Nicholson movie The Terror, which if you read about that, it's got like the craziest production ever, and then he makes what was the '60s movie he made?
Oh.
Coppola. He makes a movie in the '60s and it's not very good, but the fact that it was made for like so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be mad that I'm forgetting what it's called.
You'll think of it.
Like
when
No
we
One's Following
finish.
or something.
Yeah, no, it's oh my gosh, what is it called? I feel like it starts with a P. Why am I forgetting this? It's Panoptic. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, is there anything else? Any closing remarks from you guys? Anything important you'd like to say about your short film or about horror in general?
I'd say horror by far is my favorite genre. It's just because it is so versatile. Like, the one thing about horror is even I think horror has had a bit of a downfall recently compared to, of course, like something like the 80s.
I think it's kind of getting
and
the
such.
comeback, but it had that
somewhat.
weird lull for a bit.
But there are still films that are coming out that have stuff that I've never seen before, and that's still crazy to me. Like a good example would be Nope. Like
Oh, yeah.
there's stuff in there that I didn't.
Like,
It's still crazy that there's still stuff that's never been depicted on film before in
Also,
terms of horror films.
The technological advances with Nope as well, using the I think it was infrared or ultraviolet light cameras, and then doing a double IMAX with to shoot day for night and stuff like that. It's very cool to see how they do all that kind of stuff to make the ambiance of the film much better, so you can see what's happening. You still tell it's nighttime and all that kind of stuff.
Nope's an example of a movie I thought was like kind of dead because it kind of feels like Jaws. I mean, it's R-rated, but Jaws is pretty much. It's like it's not an entirely nihilistic film like I feel like a lot of horror delves into, which that isn't a bad thing. But like you don't get that movie that almost has like that Amblin feel to it really anymore, or it's just complete like it's entirely for kids at that point on some of those.
I feel like horror also garners the most discussion. That's what I've seen, at least, especially with how versatile it is. Like,
I think
from exploitation all the way to like something that is just heavily social commentary that uses horror as a setting, essentially.
Yeah. Like history. I think the history of horror as like a whole, and just hearing these people, because like these people are kind of on like not the fringe, but it's like some of our like great horror genre actors are people that like Hollywood will like kind of push away. It feels like a little bit, and they're so passionate about like that genre as a whole.
I think the musical equivalent of horror is metal, because it deals with those more taboo subjects, and it's able to be a little more extreme.
Literally Mandy. No.
Like, you look at, like, earlier Metallica, you look at Injustice for All, the song One is about a veteran who lost his arms and legs from a landmine. Like, come on, you're not going to get that from pop music. Not usually. Mm-hmm. So you're able to explore more intense subjects like that.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Any other closing remarks, Ion, that you feel you need to add? Short film?
Why are you looking at me? Why are you talking to me?
Why are you saying like a pimp with like bow and Ion? Like,
I'm starting to get very warm, and I need to like kind of air out. But like they've already had their closing remarks since you were absent for momentarily. Just giving you the final say.
Horror movies are cool.
They are.
Beau, you have anything to say?
Nothing really. All I got is, if you're gonna make something, be sure to have something iconic about it. Make some stylistic choices in it.
Go all out.
Go all out. But make sure you have something that stands out. Like, don't just copy a style just because. Have something like combine specific things with each other. Like if you're doing found footage based stuff, do different angles of found footage. Whatever. Or if you're having something really gross, go full out with it. Don't hold back. Like, just go as gross as you can. Whatever.
If this filming thing goes right for me, that's what I want to accomplish. I just want to make things that are new.
Yeah. No, make sure you got at least have like one new, or even if it's not new, make it an original thought that you came up with. At least one. Add something to the table.
So just make it yours in a way.
That's how you make it yours.
Yeah.
I also think don't be afraid to imitate too.
Well, I think it's like what you can do from a process is start with what you love, and in that framework you find something new. Like, it's kind of, I can't remember if it was James Joyce or T.S. Eliot, some famous like 20th century writer, talks about how if you put yourself in like a limitation, that's where like the best ideas come out. And sometimes, I think especially for anyone who just wants to start, and this is the stuff that I've made that I kind of enjoy the most, it's just picking up a camera and just filming a bunch of stuff and just kind of having like fun with it, and not doing it for the process in a way. I think they're great.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's very well said, and I guess that concludes our post-FrightFest SWAMPcast. All right.
Goodbye!